how to choose the right venue for your retreat, and why a beautiful venue isn't always the right venue for you. Hi, I'm Raluca, and I am the owner and the founder of two retreat businesses. And in this series of videos, I'm going to try to guide you through everything that you need to know before organizing your own retreats. One of the biggest decisions that you will have to make is choosing a venue. And this is an area that I think a lot of retreat leaders, especially new retreat organizers, struggle, and they can make a very big mistake, like I did. Because it's very easy when you see a photograph or you see a video on Instagram and you think, oh my God, this is perfect, people will love this. But then when you arrive there, things are not exactly what they looked like, or the retreat is just not something that can work for what you are planning to do. And I think one of the most important questions that you should ask yourself is not how everybody else will feel here, or how will it look on Instagram. I think the most important thing that you have to ask yourself is, how would you feel there? So if you can physically go there to the venue, which I highly recommend, just sit in the space, close your eyes, and just see how you feel in that environment. If you can't go there personally, then look at the photos, look at the videos, everything that you have access to, and just imagine yourself there, and ask yourself, how am I feeling? How would I feel being in that venue? Because the person who's going to sell the experience, it's you. And you're not selling just a product in with retreats. You're not selling just a yoga class, or you're not selling just a menu or just a venue. You're selling the whole experience, and you're gonna talk about it, and you're gonna make content about it, and you're gonna welcome people into it, and you're gonna spend the days there, holding energy for your group in that environment. So if something doesn't feel right, I wouldn't just ignore that. And I'm saying that because of my own experience, and unfortunately for me, I've learned it the hard way, I have to say. I remember, just as an example, I remember a few years ago we had a weekend retreat in the countryside of England. It's a very, very beautiful area, which I absolutely love. And to be honest, there was nothing really wrong with the house. There wasn't as if there was something, disastrous with the house. It was a beautiful farmhouse. It looked lovely. It looked amazing in the photos. It had a lot of character. And I remember we had about 17 people. So if you look at the numbers, you would say, but that's a very successful retreat, right? Yes, but I just didn't connect with the energy of the house. And not only that, but when I arrived there, I realized that there were some things with the setup of the house that just I didn't like, and they were just not working for what I was planning to do that weekend with my group. And I just didn't feel comfortable like I used to feel in other retreats venues before. I wasn't excited. And things didn't really flow the same way that they did in other retreats. And although, as I said, the retreat itself, it wasn't a disaster. To be honest, it was far from that. Um, I just didn't feel like I felt in other retreats, and I think that's very important for me. I like the energy at my retreats to be on a high vibration, and because my own vibration was quite low in that house, people felt that, and the connection wasn't the same. And a retreat can look successful from outside, but then where from for you, it doesn't feel successful. And that's very important because um, you know, you have to, as I said, you're selling the experience. So if you don't love that retreat, if you don't feel, you can't imagine yourself there, you know, you won't be able to sell it as you should. When you're selling a retreat, as I said, you're not just selling a bedroom, you're not just selling 2 nights in a hotel, you're not just selling a yoga class or a sound bath. You're selling the feeling of the experience. You're asking someone to imagine, how will I feel when I wake up there? How will I feel when I will have my yoga class overlooking those mountains? How will I feel when I will be swimming in the swimming pool or having breakfast with the group in that living room? You know, how will they feel sitting around the fireplace, or depending on how your retreat is. You have to genuinely love the location. When I love a location, things become so much easier for me to talk about it and explain to people, because you're not trying to manufacture enthusiasm or anything like that. You want to naturally be able to talk about it, because people can feel that very easy, even if it's just through a content on YouTube or anything like that. People feel that. You need to start imagining how the retreat will feel. You know, you need to picture yourself there, picture your group there. You know, that's the feeling that I'm looking for. Because when I feel, as I said, when I feel excited about a location, again, everybody else can see that. Yeah. So I think that's really, really, really important. So when I'm looking for a venue right now, I'm taking my time, I'm connecting with the place. And of course, you can't choose a venue only based on energy. Okay, that's not something that I can recommend, because of course at the end of the day it's a business, and I am a businesswoman, so I look at the numbers and the logistics as well. So I think it's very important to have both of those things. um, you need the feeling, as I explained, that's non-negotiable, but you also need the numbers. Um, because if the numbers don't work, that's just not the correct venue for you. And if, for example, the venue is impossible to reach by your guests, then that's not the right venue for you. And So what you're looking in, what I'm looking at the moment in a retreat venue, I'm thinking about several different things, and I'm going to try to guide you through that. So the first thing I would say, that I find it very, very important, like I said, is how does the venue makes you feel. You know, this is where I would start personally. If possible, as I said, visit the venue before, see how you feel there. You know, do that before you commit to anything. If you can't do that, then ask for a lot of videos, ask for a lot of photos, and try to imagine you there, like I said at the beginning of this video. Don't just go, you know, and see the bedrooms or the yoga shala. Go around, see the area, research the area around it. Look at the communal spaces. I had retreats in venues where they had this amazing, beautiful yoga space, but they didn't have a communal space. So when the sessions were over, my guests, they didn't really have anywhere to sit down and gather together, and that's actually very important. You know, you have to look at where you're going to have the activities. You know, how do you have enough space? For example, I do sound healing, and I use a lot of healing instruments. And I always look at, do I have enough space for my sound healing bowls and instruments? Because I had spaces where I just didn't have enough space, and I either had to squeeze myself or squeeze all the group together so we will have enough space there. So that's very important. You know, imagine yourself actually hosting a retreat there. Imagine yourself with everyone. Imagine yourself having things like the dinner together, the sessions together. How does it feel? Does it feel natural? That's very, very, very important, in my opinion. And does it feel right for you, or are you trying to convince yourself, and or trying to think like, oh, maybe I can make this work? Because I've done that before, and trust me, if it doesn't feel right at the beginning, it most probably isn't. Second thing that I think it's very important, and again, it's a non-negotiable, is where do you actually run your sessions? That's a huge one, because a venue can be a beautiful hotel with amazing bedrooms, or it can be a beautiful venue with beautiful views and beautiful bedrooms, and a swimming pool and a hot tub and a sauna and all that. But where are you going to have your sound healing? Where are you going to run your workshop? Do you not have enough space there? Maybe you need chairs? Do you have enough space for your yoga session? Do they have space to stretch and spread their hands and the bodies? It's very important. You have to think about all that. Don't accept accept, yes, we have a room you can use. Ask for measurements, ask for details. If you can't physically go there, then ask them to measure the room and tell you exactly how many people will be comfortable in that room. And sometimes I personally went and I measured the space myself, just to make sure that it was comfortable for my guests. And what happens what happens when the weather changes? Do you have enough indoor space? I remember I used this venue, and they had this beautiful, amazing terrace, and it was during the summer, so it wasn't like we were expecting the weather to be like that, but we had this storm. And yes, so we just couldn't, the entire weekend, by the way, and we just couldn't use that space. And when we got everyone inside, we actually had to take away the communal, the sitting area where we had like armchairs and sofas, and just to be able to use that space for the entire group for the sessions. And that was not comfortable. That was not nice. We had to literally squeeze everyone in. So think about all those details. Always have a plan B. What's your plan B if it rains outside? For me, indoor space is very important. And even if you're having a retreat in a warm country, you know, um, you need to have that indoor space just in case anything happens. I had a retreat in Greece, and it was absolutely boiling hot outside. So there was absolutely no need for us to go and do the sessions inside. However, especially the sound healing, which I'm talking about right now, because the sound healing were in the evening. So it's so not nice to go and do the sessions outside. However, that evening we had I remember there were trucks going outside, and we had so much noise that we had to go take everyone inside. And luckily we had enough space for everyone. But if we didn't have that space, then we would literally have to do it in all that noise outside. So that was something that we didn't think about. The landlord most probably didn't think about. But because we had that indoor space, then we could move, and we had a beautiful sound healing session. And yeah, so that's very important. Think about all those details. Also, if you're doing workshops, do you have space for chairs? Do you need chairs? Also, I use venues which are hotels, and sometimes we do the yoga sessions in their conference room, and they have a very beautiful conference room. It's amazing. It's very, very, very big, but I always have to ask them in advance. Make sure that there are no chairs there. Make sure that I have enough space for my yoga mats. So they have to literally remove everything from the room. So that's important. The third thing that I will think, it's think about your guest journey, because I always try to book a venue through the eyes of the guest as well. You have to ask yourself questions like, how are they getting there? Are they flying? And if they're flying there, what airport will they be flying to? How far away is the airport to the venue? Can you organize transfers? Can the people, the management of the venue or the landlords, can they organize transfers? Also, is there public transport there, or are there taxis available? Because especially if there are last minute bookings, you will have people who are not coming in the same time as the rest of the groups. So that means that they will have to take a taxi, or they will have to take public transport. How easy is it for them to take a public transport? I recently had a retreat, and it's a very, very, very beautiful. Oh my God, it is absolutely amazing venue. But it's about 2 hours drive from the airport, and the drive is up the mountains as well. And so we had a lady who wasn't um, how can I say, she wasn't very comfortable. She wasn't car sick, but she wasn't very comfortable to have that long of a journey. And also, we had someone who was pregnant, and the bus wasn't able to take them right straight up to the venue, as it was going up, on a road, so they didn't have insurance to go there. I didn't know that, so we had to go downhill, help everybody with their luggage, and get them, ask them to actually climb up. And especially, I felt heartbroken for the lady, the girl who was pregnant, because I just thought, oh my God, after 2 hours of driving, she now has to walk about 10 minutes up to the venue. So that was not something that I knew. So, all these questions, ask before you commit to anything. Also, another thing that I will ask, and it's just not something that people think about, but ask the inside of the venue. For example, the venue that we use in Greece, it has a lot of stairs. And some people are not comfortable, walking up and down the stairs. And so you should be able to know all that in order to recommend them where they're staying, and or at least to be able to explain to them, because some people just don't find this comfortable, or some people will. I have a retreat, actually we're going there in about 2 weeks again, and as I said, it has a lot of stairs. It's a very old Greek mansion, but nobody had any problem with that. However, it's always good to know these things, because not only for you to be able to explain and also to imagine how the retreat will be, but it's also for them to be able to make a choice. Do I want that nice room which is separate, but it has, I don't know how many stairs? And so that's very important. The fourth thing that I want to mention is the management, because the management or the landlord, the team that you're going to be working with, that venue, can either make it or break it. And trust me when I say that, because it's so 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 important. They can break the experience in a second if it's not the right team for you. And that's actually something that people don't really talk about, and I think it's so important, because you might absolutely love the property. You love everything about the property, but what about the people who are running the property? You have to ask things like, how quickly do they respond to you? How flexible are they? How are you having a good communication with them? Are they clear about pricing, about the rules of the house? And also, a thing that I will add because of my own experience is, do they understand retreats? Because I had a retreat once. I remember it was in this absolutely beautiful boutique hotel. So it was like it's a small hotel. I think there are only about 10 rooms, and from all the 10 rooms, we had 8 rooms. But one thing I didn't know was that we didn't have exclusivity for the venue, and the people who came, who had those extra 2 rooms, um, they were there for different reasons. And for example, they will be loud in the evenings when we were having the sound baths, or they were smoking above our yoga room. So it was really not working out for us. So it's very important to ask the landlord, ask the management of the venue, do you understand what a retreat is? And let me explain to you how my retreat works, and what I will need from you, because that's extremely important. What I will need, I will need quiet in the evenings because I'm doing a sound bath. I need fresh air in my yoga shala. I can't have people drinking at my retreat. It's your retreat. You will know what you need. And also, um, if you need to change something last minute, how responsive are they? How helpful are they? If I'm trying to think about anything else. I think what I'm trying to say is that the communication, that's something that is very, very, very important. How is the communication with them? Um, Especially, like, if you will have to count on them for other things, like, I don't know, serving food, or that's doing activities for you, taking them to excursions. There are so many things that you have to consider. The communication and the connection that you have with the team, with the management, it's so important. It's so important. You need someone to actually hold your hand while you are there. The fifth one, which I think is very important, and I think it's a huge part of the retreat. I don't know how many of you will agree with me, but I think food is very, very, very important. People remember food. People talk about food. People they talk about food during the retreat. They talk about food after the retreat. So food is it's a big thing. It doesn't matter what kind of menu you have, either it's vegan or you have meat. It doesn't really matter. It's a big, big element. At my retreats, for example, I offer a pamper element, so to all of my retreats, and one of them is the menu. Our menus are they have a lot of varieties. So things that you have to ask yourself, when you're choosing a venue is, can they accommodate all the diets? If they're serving the food and they're preparing the food for you, can they do vegan and vegetarian options, or the other way around? Because sometimes you have venues where they do only vegan. What about the meat eaters? Can they have an option, or can they bring their own snacks? what drinks are included. Do they have coffees and teas during the day? Do they have fresh water? All of these things you need to ask. Where are the meals served? Now that's a big one as well, especially if you're using hotels. You want to make sure that your group is sitting next to each other and having dinners, because the last thing you want, it's a spread group in a hotel. Or you want everyone. That's a retreat, means everyone gathering together. That's very, very important. um, and does the style of the food that they're serving fit your retreat? Because you can have a nice hotel. I am talking about hotels here because that's why my experience, and they served burgers, which wasn't something that was much appreciated at my retreat. So ask, make sure you ask what kind of menu they have, and all of those questions. Number 6 for me is look at around the venue. Don't look just at the venue, look around the venue. And why I'm saying that, because the property itself, it can be such a nice property, but if the outside is not accessible, they can't go for a walk outside. I had a venue, a retreat once in a venue which was up the hill overlooking the sea, very beautiful, but there was no walking anywhere. We were literally stuck there in the venue. So if you didn't like that, then you would feel very isolated and it would not be a good experience for you. So look around the property, do research. How is the area itself? Can the guest go for a walk? Is there a beach close by? Is there how can they access the mountain walks? Is there a village nearby? Can they walk to a village? Are there cafes? Are there shops? All these things, they are very, very important. And are they beautiful places around the area that you can incorporate to your itinerary? Because sometimes the surrounding areas become one of the strongest parts of the retreat. It's actually a selling point of what they can do around the retreat. For example, even I have retreats in Greece. Again, I'm saying that, and it's on an island called Evia Island. And a lot of the times, actually I think every time, I had people who are coming there and they say, oh, after that, is it easy for me to go to Athens, because I would like to go and visit some more. And it is easy. It's a direct ferry. So, use the destination in your advantage. Number 7 is the one that broke my heart. So, know your numbers before falling in love with the venue. That's probably one of the most heartbreaking lessons that I've learned, because before you sign anything, please calculate everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Have a spreadsheet. I use budget calculator spreadsheets. I'm going to make another video about that. But where I put everything that I can think of: accommodation, food, facilitators, activities, venue hire, marketing, extra facilitators. Also, in my case, for example, it's me and my partner Matt. So we are 2 facilitators. Normally the venue, they will give you a space for free, but is that space offered for free for both of us, or is it one has to pay full price, or the other, or does it has to pay 50%? Whatever it is, ask. Platform commissions, always put a miscellaneous. I call it miscellaneous. So just put an amount there, I don't know, 250 euros or dollars or whatever. Put some there, just in case something happens and you will need some extra money. Always include your own travel, always include your accommodation, of course, if it's not something that they can offer for free. And when and only if the venue becomes viable, and you can see that it makes a profit, that's when I would make a commitment. Not before that, not before you do everything that I just said. A beautiful venue isn't beautiful anymore when you're losing thousands of pounds or dollars. You know, when you're losing money, that venue, no matter how beautiful it is not gonna feel that beautiful anymore. Trust me when I said that. And finally, I think is the would you come back to the retreat element? Oh my God, that's so important, because I think it's one of my favorite questions that you have to ask yourself. Because so imagine you're asking this question not before but after you had the retreat there. Everybody's happy. Doesn't The most important thing is ask yourself, would you come back to that retreat? Because would you use the same venue next year? Because when you find the right venue, something very interesting happens. You start to build a relationship with the venue. You understand how everything works. The venue understands how everything works for you. So I'm using the same venue in Greece. We've been there last year, and we absolutely loved it. At the end of the retreat, I knew for sure that I'm gonna be back to that venue, and I'm gonna be using it again. And not only because I absolutely loved it, and it really worked well with what I am offering at my retreats, but my guests loved it as well. And by the way, on this retreat particularly, we have 10 guests from last year that they're coming next year. So the element of your home away from home is that for them as well. They're coming back to the same venue that they loved last year. And for my team is easier as well. We're going back to a venue that we know how everything works, where everything is. The communication with the management and the landlord and everybody is absolutely excellent. There's nothing I can think of that I can ask these people and they won't help me. I'm actually going to put a link below with their website. They have a few venues in Greece that you can use, and it's absolutely amazing. The best people to work with ever. So my biggest advice for you, I think, if you're looking for your first venue, don't panic and don't rush. Take your time. Please take your time. Trust me when I say this. Just take your time, because um, if you don't want to rush into something, it's a very big decision. You want to have a venue where you're happy to come back to. You want to have a venue where it feels like you. It feels like your personality, your values, your community, your style of a retreat. And of course, as I said, the practical things that you need to remember to consider: the numbers need to work, the accommodation need to work, the management needs to work, the location of the venue needs to work. Okay. The But somewhere around among all these spreadsheets and contracts and everything that I talked about, I still think you should ask yourself, do I actually love this venue? Do I love this place? Because you're going to be the one person standing in front of the camera, like I am now, trying to convince me that I should go love that venue as well, and I should go there. You're going to answer people questions when they're sending you emails or messages. You're going to be the one who you're going to be welcoming your guest after you told them, or you sold them this experience. So it's so important for you to love the venue. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the energy that you will have throughout this retreat, if you love the venue, if you love and you feel comfortable in that venue, and you're happy with everything, and you're not having a loss, and you feel supported by the management and everything, then it's gonna be so easy, and it's gonna be